I feel like we've been enjoying school more. I feel like the longer you do it, the more you realize what you don't need to do and what really matters. Every year, I learn that a little bit more.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. I am back with Aby Rinella, and we are here to celebrate Thanksgiving week with you. So it's now Wednesday. It's the day before Thanksgiving. It is Garrett's 50th birthday today. So if you guys are on his social media, just bombard him with happy birthday messages on there. I know. I'm so grateful for him.
And also, your turkey needs to be thawed by now. I mean, this is a public service announcement. Isn't today,
Right.
like, if it's not thawed, people, I don't know. I'll be honest, my mom does the turkey. So maybe you have time to thaw it. I don't know.
I have never made a turkey my whole life. I don't think.
Yeah. So actually, don't take your turkey cooking
Tips
advice from us. But I do know the stores will be closed tomorrow. So make sure you at least have your stuff today, right?
See, this is one of those things. Yes, probably. This is one of those things where I felt like I would feel much more mature at the age of 50 because my mom's made like a million turkeys. My mother-in-law's made a million turkeys. How in the world I have gotten away with never making a turkey, I don't know, but I'm grateful for it. I'm bummed out that we're not going to be at my brother and sister-in-law's house this year because my sister-in-law, Jen,
does the turkey.
She is the most amazing cook. She can pull together a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm literally not exaggerating. She can pull it together where she has everything perfectly cooked and on the table, warm at the same time.
Why do you not have her on for? I know, next year, let's have her on for Thanksgiving.
Well, maybe.
And she can do like how to do it.
Yeah. When she first got married, I remember she actually had like my sister-in-law is super smart and she is a West Point grad. And she's an engineer. And so,
so
she was a stay-at-home mom,
but
she has her degree in engineering from West Point. And so she's crazy smart and very organized and she has the brain of an engineer. So she had like her list of foods and how long it was going to take to cook each one. And she literally had her whole schedule worked out for the day of what needed to go in the oven when. And I mean, it was amazing. So, and she's just a good cook. Like everything tastes good. It's not that it's just hot. Anyway,
Jen,
I digress.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
For showing us all up.
Maybe next year. We'll be back at her house for Thanksgiving. She lives all the way in Georgia. Anyway, we'll get back into our conversation. But before we do, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, BJU Press Homeschool. I'm sure they probably have something to talk about Thanksgiving, but if you're just now listening to this, it's probably too late. So maybe for next year, they have a Thanksgiving or a Christmas something. I don't know. I should have looked that up before we got on to record today, but they have something for just about everything to help you homeschool with excellence from a biblical worldview. So check them out at bjupresshomeschool.com and you can be confident that everything they have will help you homeschool and point your kids to Jesus. All right, Aby, we were talking on Monday about the craziness of the launch of the Thinking Dad podcast,
right?
The new studio and the network, the Biblical Family Network. And so the Thinking Dad podcast, for those who haven't listened, it's really funny. Actually, we have heard from so many moms that they have been listening to the Thinking Dad. And what I think, I was really surprised about that, but what I think has happened is that they wanted to listen to it first to see if it was,
totally, 100%.
Something that they would want to recommend to their husbands.
Right.
And
so
many have, and
And then they got hooked.
Oh yeah. And then they got hooked. And I mean, I love listening to it. And so a lot of those women have said, like, we've got messages from people saying, my husband and I are in the car and we're listening to Thinking Dad. And it's so much fun to hear those reports back from moms. And we live in a time where men, I think, are very hungry for truth and guidance and, just somebody to help disciple them. And so just like with the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast, we bring people on who are experts in certain fields. That's what the Thinking Dad is for dads and husbands. Is Garrett has had just an incredible list of guests who have come on and talked about, various things. I think off the top of my head, my favorites have been Dr. George Barna and Alex Newman. And maybe I shouldn't play favorites because they've all been really good. But the one, like if there was one I could pick, if I could only pick one episode, it would probably be Dr. George Barna. Okay. That one was so
if you haven't
good.
listened, that's the first one to go listen to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was excellent. That one was
and
really,
so is this
really
like every other week?
Yes, every other week.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
So he just finished his first season and this is so exciting. The Thinking Dad, I don't know, probably not many people know this unless you've watched it. So Answers TV, you know what Answers TV
Yes, yeah.
is? Answers in Genesis. They have their own kind of TV network channel. The Schoolhouse Rocked, it's not Homeschool Insights, which is a sister podcast to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. They've got a bunch of Homeschool Insights podcasts clips on there.
I didn't know that.
But now they just picked up the Thinking Dad. And so they're going to have the entire first season of the Thinking Dad, and they'll all be video. So it'll be on the TV so you can watch the videos of, and those ones are the full episodes. They're like an hour long episode of the Thinking Dad. And so they're going to have the entire first season of Thinking Dad on Answers TV, which is so exciting. That's a
big deal.
Yeah.
Very cool. They're
amazing. We love Answers in Genesis. They have been so supportive of the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry, and we're super grateful for them. And so, they're not charging us to have it on there. We're not, charging them to put it on. This is just, they said,
it's the body,
we have this platform. It's the body of Christ.
Right. Totally.
They just said, we've got this platform, and Garrett sent them a video, and they said, we love it. We would love to put this on our,
that's awesome.
Answers TV network. So yeah, isn't that exciting?
Oh man, that's so cool. I'm going to go find, yeah. I'm going to go look.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. If you guys don't have Answers TV, it's way better than Netflix. So get that instead.
For sure. You can chalk up like an hour of watching Answers TV as like school also.
Right.
I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's talk about the network for just a minute, because we haven't talked much about that.
I tell us, because I don't think you've talked about it much at all.
No. I think we did an episode a while back and talked about that we were doing it.
Right.
But yeah, so like I said,
now talk to us in we're laymen that don't understand the whole thing.
That don't know anything about it.
What is a network?
So a network is literally a group of podcasts that come together, and they're all kind of in line with one another as far as what their audience is, what their reach is, what they're trying to do through their podcast ministries. And so right now we have the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast, of course, and Thinking Dad. And then we have our two, sister and brother, I guess children podcasts maybe would be a better way to say that. But we have Homeschool Insights. For those who don't listen to Homeschool Insights is 5 days a week. And that's just like power clips from the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. And so they're anywhere from typically like 4 to 7 minute clips of Schoolhouse Rocked. And so they're like random. I mean, Garrett has a system to it, but they're just from all kinds of different interviews that we've done on Schoolhouse Rocked. And so they're just short, like power clips.
Right.
And then Rapid Response is the same thing from Thinking Dad. Okay. So Rapid Response, again, is just short power clips from the Thinking Dad podcast. Okay. And a lot of those you'll see actually on like Instagram or X, things like that. And so that's how those get a lot of views, but you can listen to those as podcasts as well. So if every day of the week you just want just kind of a burst of encouragement for just a few minutes, you can get that through Homeschool Insights and Schoolhouse Rocked. And it's funny because a lot of times I'll listen to Homeschool Insights and I'll hear some, wise insight from one of the guests that I've had. And I'm like, I don't even remember them saying that. And that was so encouraging.
Oh,
it's so funny how that happens.
Yeah. Well, because when there's an hour, you have a hard time filtering through it. But when he just has those clips, they're just powerful. And
yes.
So that's awesome. So what is the name of the network again?
It's the Biblical Family Network. So you can go to you could go to the website, Biblical Family Network, but I think you can also look it up on any like podcast app and just look at Biblical Family Network. And it'll pull up those. So we've got the Schoolhouse Rocked. So you said Schoolhouse Rocked, Thinking Dad,
Homeschool Insights, Thinking Dad, and Rapid Response, and
then we have Culture Proof.
Okay,
which if you guys,
the Addisons,
they're amazing. Will and Miki Addison, they are incredible. Miki's been on our podcast on my podcast several times, and Will Addison has been on Garrett's podcast, and they are just a powerhouse couple. I mean, they're amazing. Awesome. They are so biblically sound, so wise in the way that they just talk about truth and culture and everything that's going on in the world today. And they always bring it back to the Word of God. And they talk about family, they talk about education, they talk about the church, they talk about politics, they talk about everything. And it is always from a really strong, solid biblical worldview. And and they're fun to listen to. They're hilarious. They're, husband and wife, of course. and they're super funny to listen to.
Oh,
And their whole family is involved. I mean, like their kids help edit their podcast. They
That's so
used to
cool.
be on AFR, which is American Family Radio, for like 15 years. They hosted Airing the Addisons,
right.
which was their radio show that they had on American Family Radio. And then last year they launched into doing their own, which became Culture Proof.
So they're no longer on the other.
They're no longer
They're
on
just
AFR.
doing Culture Proof.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They're
Okay,
just doing
cool.
Culture Proof. So they have their own ministry that the Lord has granted them. And
we might hear
they're
about
awesome.
Miki a little bit more later. But after all that to say, what
Yeah,
else
we
is on
might.
the network?
Yes. Yeah. Stay tuned to hear more about
Stay
Mickey
tuned.
Addison. Dun, dun, dun. And then the last one that we have for right now, and we're always looking for more podcasts just as the Lord brings them to us, but the Made to Homeschool podcast with Brandon Beckley. And I interviewed Brandon earlier in the year. I don't know exactly when it was. I think it was in the springtime. And he's a homeschool dad and just has such a heart for Christian discipleship and education. And so he and his wife, Brigitte, they have created the Made to Homeschool ministry and podcast. Okay. And so they have just a really neat ministry. And so he's got this podcast.
Awesome.
And so he's the Made to Homeschool podcast is also on the Biblical Family Network. And,
very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot that you guys bit off this last year.
I know. And I'll tell you too, with Made to Homeschool, I got to be a guest on that podcast.
So he brings
some
guests
time ago.
on. That's how
Yes.
this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He has guests on.
And the Addisons
so,
do not bring guests. That's
they
just
do
them
sometimes.
talking through. Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
Oftentimes, sometimes it's just them and then sometimes they have guests.
Okay.
So we've actually been guests on their podcast. They've been guests on
yeah.
ours.
Actually, you and Garrett were together, weren't you? Were you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We were
yeah.
together.
I do remember that. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you ever, for those who maybe, if you're kind of new to Schoolhouse Rocked and you want to hear our story of our family and how God has just miraculously created the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry, I'll put a link in the show notes to this interview that Brandon Beckley from Made to Homeschool interviewed me. And I got to share our testimony and our story on there. And so I'll put a link to that so you guys could go listen to that on Made to Homeschool. And you can know all about our story if you don't know yet.
Awesome.
So, but we've got more to talk about, but we got to take a break. We will be right back. Have you tried CTC Math yet with your child? Here's a testimonial from another happy homeschool mom. Amber said, "I'm absolutely thrilled with CTC Math. It's a rare find that I've used with my children for more than 5 years now. I have 6 children using CTC Math, and each child has found it easy to navigate and very applicable. Thank you so much for all that you are doing in providing quality math lessons for my children." If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com. That's ctcmath.com. Join Apologia for the Homeschool Bootcamp, a free video series that provides practical guidance and wisdom from experienced homeschool parents. You'll discover how to equip your family for academic, social, and spiritual success. Plus, you'll discover how to build deeper and stronger family relationships. Homeschool Bootcamp covers how to break free from the public school mindset, daily planning, supporting students with learning challenges, homeschooling as a working parent, navigating the high school years, and much more. Find this incredible free homeschool resource at apologia.com/bootcamp. We are back with Aby. All right. So we talked about just kind of what this year has looked like. We talked about some of our podcasts. We talked about the launch of the Thinking Dad and the new studio and the Biblical Family Network. And that's kind of been our family. I mean, that's just
a lot and exciting.
It's been a lot and just big changes.
Another thing.
Oh, what?
That you failed to mention. This was your first year of having just one student.
Yes.
This was your first year of having Brooklyn not homeschooling.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes. And it's gone really well. It has been such a good year. I was a little bit nervous. I will say it's been really hard. It's been much harder on Lacey than
I'm sure.
I thought it would be because she really misses her sister. And Brooklyn still lives at home. We're so grateful for that. But she works full time and she has friends and she has a car. And so she's just gone a lot. And even when she's home,
she has her own thing going on.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if she's home, Lacey and I are doing school and Brooklyn is doing her own thing. And so it's just different. It's
hard on siblings.
We miss her.
Yeah. It's hard when siblings launch. And I think especially if they're home because it's like their presence is there, but they're not there in the way that they used to be there. And so you feel left behind. I don't know. I can imagine that it would be really hard.
It's been an adjustment for all of us, but it's been a good adjustment, and having an adult child has just been harder than I thought it would be. And not in like, she's not off,
Right.
making a disaster of her life or anything.
No.
It's just, it's weird, like letting go of those strings. And we talked about that in our Homeschooling Through the Years series,
right,
with Rachel Carmen, of just what that looks like to just kind of let go of those controlling,
totally
mechanisms that we've always had.
Yeah, it's the thing that you've done for 18 years, and
Yes.
and now all of a sudden you're not, but they're still there. But it's
Yes.
I think it takes a lot of self-control on the parents' end.
Yeah,
Close
it
your mouth.
totally does.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I don't know. We're not there yet, but I have a junior, so I'm mentally preparing for it, knowing that it's coming. And even as a junior in high school, you're slowly releasing those things. You really are.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
but we're very proud of both of our girls and just the things that the Lord is doing in their hearts. And it's exciting, and it's weird, and it's hard, and it's all the feels, it's all the things.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's been a really good year so far. And Lacey is doing great, and she played volleyball. I've talked about that. So her volleyball season is over.
And she's 8th grade.
She's 8th grade. Yeah.
Okay.
So how about you? Tell us, give us just a quick overview of the Rinella family and what the past year has looked like for you, and maybe the Called Beyond ministry. It's been a year. I mean, every year the kids are growing more. And so, like I said, we have a junior and an 8th grader and a 5th grader. And it's just, it is hard. Like you said, it's hard to have an adult child. It's hard to have a 16-year-old, not hard in the fact that it's challenging. It's heart pulling. Like, it's hard knowing I only have a year and a half left with her, or and every day is like a countdown. Like, this is like, there's only one more time we're going to do this, So it's just, it's hard to watch them grow up, even though that's the end goal. So we've just been I feel like we've been enjoying school more. I feel like the longer you do it, the more you realize what you don't need to do and what really matters. Every year I learn that a little bit more. So, and then, we've talked about this a whole bunch, but we lost Jesse's dad this summer. So that was a huge part of our year, just saying goodbye to him over about 2-month period. And so that was a huge part. And then we've also talked about, Jesse and I and the kids have a ministry called Beyond Adventures, where we take families impacted by disability or loss or, other circumstances, other challenges on hunting and fishing and outdoor adventures. And so this year's been a really fun year. We had our biggest yet annual fishing day, where we take kids with disabilities and their siblings and parents we do a big fishing clinic. That was a blast. We did a pheasant hunt with a little boy that happened to be a homeschooler, which was so fun. That was just really fun for my kids to connect with him. Yeah.
And then we just finished an elk hunt that we had started with a father-daughter. He's a young man with a young daughter who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so he just had a dream of taking her hunting like he had with his older kids when he did not have Alzheimer's, and thought he would never, ever be able to do that. And so we made it happen for them. And it was amazing. And it just, homeschooling has allowed us to do this ministry as a family. The kids are involved every step of the way. Tatum did a lot of the filming. She does a lot of the admin. Winnie's just, the hype girl. She's like there for morale. And Colson is like the guide in the field along with Jesse. So we're just really blessed that because of our homeschool freedoms, in and amongst doing school, we can also do this. So it's been a good year. And also, I don't know if you guys heard, but the elections went really well this year.
Did they?
They did. So it was touch and go there for a minute. And so I think it's been a good year, and I'm really looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how things unfold, even when it comes to school choice and
that's
our
going to be
freedoms,
a
all of
bigger
those
fight
things.
now, actually.
Yeah. Which actually, you're still on the board of Homeschool Idaho.
Oh, yes.
Right?
So I am on the board of Homeschool
Because you mentioned
Idaho.
that you've got your conference coming up.
Yeah. So we have a conference coming up. That's another thing I was able to do this year is I traveled and spoke at a couple conferences.
Yes, you did. More than you usually do.
Yes. And it was really fun. And then I actually have quite a few coming up this next year. Not a few. I'm very balanced because family first, right? I don't do a lot. But Tatum traveled with me this last year on one of the away where I flew away. And it was... because that's kind of something I've said is I'm not doing that and leaving the family first. So she came, and it was It was like more than I'd hoped for. She was like my little schedule keeper, made sure we were on time, that we hit the flights. She sang actually in one of my sessions that I spoke in. It was amazing. And then she just made instant friends with the homeschool crowd at the state, the state I took her to. So that was really fun. So I'm actually hoping that she will be able to do more of that as my little companion.
Yeah. So fun. It's so fun taking our kids to these things. Lacey got to go to Memphis with us this year. We got to be part of the Culture Proof Family Conference this year with Will and Miki, and Lacey, same thing. She went with us and she was kind of like, oh, another homeschool conference. And we were like, well, this one's a little different. It's a family conference. And she's been to a lot of homeschool conferences. She hit
hard for that couple years.
Yeah. Yes. So we went to this one and she was like, well, I have to go back next year because I told all my friends that I'd be back.
Oh, don't you love that?
You know, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's like as soon as we walked in the door, I mean, she knows the Addison kids anyway.
Right.
And so, you know, as soon as she walked in the door, she already had friends and then she made more friends and it was a lot of fun. But I mean, they had it was really neat because it was more of a discipleship conference for the teenagers. It wasn't a just I mean, they played some games and did some activities, but it was more like actual discipleship. And so they had speakers come in and talk with the kids. Her favorite one, Kathy Cook, was one of the speakers for the kids. And she was Lacey's favorite of
wow, that's so cool.
All of the speakers, which was really awesome.
It's fun to get our kids' perspective.
Yeah, it really is. So anyway, it was awesome.
Very cool.
We are out of time.
People are probably wondering, why are we talking year end like this year? School year is over. If the school year is not over, it's going to be a new season of Schoolhouse Rocked. That's why we're doing a year.
Right.
Review.
So we do have a really exciting.
This is weird.
I know the year's not over. I mean,
it's not.
But it's only. I mean, we only have a few weeks left in the year.
But even the school year is not over.
Right. No.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no. Yeah.
But we're just excited about what's coming.
Yes. So we will be back tomorrow and we'll tell you guys of the exciting things that are coming up for the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry. And I can't wait to share these things with you guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Abby, thank you for being with me this week. And if you're listening to this again on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, you guys. This is so cool. We have so much to be thankful for.
We have so much to be thankful for.
We will be back. But many of you are probably listening to this after Thanksgiving, and that's okay too, because our exciting announcement is still relevant after Thanksgiving because it has to do with the new year.
It's not a turkey recipe. Don't worry. You didn't miss it. It's not a turkey
recipe, which you will never get from me anyway. My turkey recipe is go to my mother-in-law's house or my sister-in-law's house. Yeah. That's my sister-in-law. And let them make the turkey and it will be amazing. So
that's a good plan.
Anyway, have a great rest of your day. We will see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.
You're listening to the Biblical Family Network.
Hey, I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And we're the co-hosts of the Culture Proof podcast. We want to invite you to join us every week as we discuss what's happening in the world and then filter those happenings through a decidedly biblical lens.
There are many questions, especially when we see what's happening in our culture today, but the answers are found within the Word of God. So that's where we want to look.
Amen. When we resist those cultural trends that rival the truth,
we remain culture proof.
When you go to a homeschool conference, we pick speakers at a homeschool conference because we want a huge variety. We're not going to have 5 of the same type of people doing the same type of sessions because no mom is the same. And so I think this is going to be fun because you're going to get so many different angles and so many different perspectives. And that's the beauty of homeschool is it's unique, it's creative, it's unique to who we are. And so you'll get more voices. I mean, I'm super excited and I'll get to listen to all these awesome ladies too.